Hi fellow Django developers, Hezekiah here from alwaysdjango.com, where we discuss interesting Django topics that helps you grow, improve as a Django developer. So if that sounds interesting, like, comment, share this video with anyone that will find this video interesting. Let's get into it. So today we are going to discuss how to create a project in Django. Like always, we have an article here on alwaysdjango.com. I'll leave a link to it in the description. But we are not really going to reference this article here because, like, in this video, I'm assuming you don't know anything about Python, right? Anything about Python generally. You don't know anything about Python. We are starting from the beginning, from the bare minimum. We are starting from downloading Python, installing Python, setting up Python, then installing Django, pip installing Django, then creating a project and starting off from there, right? So first thing first, we'll download Python, right? So we'll go to our browser, we say download Python. So this comes up. My internet is very slow. This comes up on the first link here. You click here, that's python.org. I'll also leave a link in the description to this page right here. So right here we have download Python. You simply click on this button. You say download Python. The download process starts off for you. My internet speed is very slow, very slow. You can see it's loading. It's still loading, but finally, okay, finally, if you click that button, Python starts downloading. Right here you can see the Python started downloading. So I'll pause this video till when the download process is complete. If the download process is complete, I'll start the video again. So we are back again, guys. The Python is through with downloading. So here it is. I open it in the folder. Here it is. Python is downloaded. So we double click on it. The download process will start off. So you click on install now. But before you click on install now, you have to check this button here. Very important. Check this button here. Without it, Python will not be able to run in your CM, your command line, right? So you check this button here. Very important. This button, add python.exe to your path. You click this button here. You click install now. It runs its normal installation process for softwares on Windows, on your operating system. So you click install now and installation starts. But I already have Python in my system, so like I will not click install now. So I will not install it. There will be no need to install it. So after clicking install now, it will run its process. It will run whatever. Are you sure you want to cancel? Yes, I am. So after clicking install now, it will run its process. It will do what it wants to do. Install Python. Then maybe you can restart, or it's not necessary to restart. You start up. So to check if Python is installed, you go to your CMD. You open your command line interface, whatever it is on your operating system. Mine is very slow. Let's open it from here. So my CMD is open here. So to check if Python is installed, you type Python, enter. It should pop up something like this. Here is your Python shell. You should see your Python shell. Let's exit, or maybe write Python version. It brings up something like this. So with this, Python is installed on your system. You can use Python. So that's it. So after installing, we have successfully installed Python. Congrats, you have Python on your system now. Move on to the next step. What's the next step? Install Django on your system to set up Django on your system. Pip install Django on your system. Now let's go to our browser. Let's search install Django. We'll click on this link. It's simply a pip installation process. Just pip install Django. Just pip install Django. That's the command to install Django on your system. Let's just copy it. I already have Django on my system, so it will probably tell me requirement already satisfied or something like that. So requirement already satisfied because I already have Django on my system. But for you, it will run its process. It will start downloading, start unpacking, start installing, do what. So this pip command here, when you installed Python, this pip command already got installed, right? So you don't have to bother yourself about installing pip and what have you. So if you checked the checkbox I told you to check while installing Python, this pip will be installed for you. This pip will be in your system, so you don't have to worry yourself about it. So right now you have Congrats, you have Python, you have Django installed on your system. Let's move on to the next step, which is creating the Django project, right? So let's go to any folder. You locate the folder you want to create the Django application. Let's say I have a lot of folders open here. Let's say I go to my desktop, for instance, or my desktop, or maybe you go to your desktop, you create a folder, maybe name it Django projects. Then you enter the folder. So here in your folder, this is where you want your project to live, right? This is where you want the project code to be. So you come here, come over here, write CMD on Windows, on this bar here, on this folder structure bar, you say CMD, and it opens your CMD to this folder structure. You can see it is the user C file, the user desktop Django projects, which is what we have here. So the CMD is open here. Instead of maybe open the CMD, then having to type CD into this, CD into that, this and that. So your CMD opens to this folder already, right? So next step, after installing Django, you get access to the Django admin commands, like the Django admins command. You get access to them. This Django admin command is what you use to do whatever you want in Django. You can see you can use it to uncheck, you can use it to load data, flush, different commands. You can use it for different commands in Django. This is what you use for different commands in Django. So one of them here is start project. Now this start project is what we use to start a Django project using this Django. Right here you can see start project right here, a start project command, right? So this is the command you use to start a project in Django. So go back here, we'll say Django admin start project. Then you give your project a name. I don't know what you want to give. Let's say first project, right? First project. You press enter. Then Django starts running. You can see it already created the project here. Right here we have the project here. So this is a Django project. Congrats, you created a Django project. This is it. You have created a Django project here. This is your Django project right here. So the next step will probably be, how can we run this project? That will be the next step. How can we start up this project? How can we run? How can we start our coding process and what have you? So let me open. I'm using Visual Studio Code. I type code dot. So if I type code dot, it opens Visual Studio Code to this folder so that I can start working with it, so that I can start doing what I want with it, start programming, start coding my Django application. So let's wait while this loads. Yes, I trust the author. So this is your Django project here. In your Django project, this is your project folder. You have the init.py. Of course, we know what init.py file does. It's just a file that helps Python recognize this folder as a module, right? So we have this ASGI. It should be asynchronous gateway interface. That should be the meaning of ASGI. So it's used. I don't think you really get to use, unless you know what you're doing. I don't really get to edit this file at all. So ASGI, this is used for maybe for WebSockets, and if you get into that, right? That's then you have settings.py file. This is where your application settings live, your Django application setting, the settings for this project. This is where they will live. Right here, if you see here, we have the installed applications, we have the allowed host, we have the debug equal to true, we have the security code. So the more you get to learn Django, the more you get to understand these settings and what they do and how to edit them and what have you. Then urls.py. The urls.py file is just a file where you declare your URLs, right? You assign views to a URL path. So for instance, let's say a path here is let me say /users, right? You want to say this is what will happen, this is the view, this is what happens when you go to /users. If you go to /users, then you say you enter the name of your view, then your view here, then whatever you want. So this will be your view. Of course, you don't have a view right now, so but this, the url.py file is where you declare URLs for your application. We'll get into that later. You get into that later the more you use. So WSGI, right? It's just like ASGI, but this handles WSGI for asynchronous request to your application. ASGI is for asynchronous request for your application. WSGI is for synchronous application, like normal applications to your request. The normal browser, the normal go to your browser, hit reload, send request to get and post, right? So that's what the WSGI. Then manage.py, this is the script, this is the Python script that is used to run commands for your application, right? Enough. So that's what this file, what this file does for us. This is what this file does for us. So let's start up this application. Let's just start this application. You open your terminal, you open your command line to this project folder. So I open my application to this project folder. So it's open right now. So I type, to start your Django application, you say python manage.py run server, right? This manage.py is this manage.py file here. Like I said, this manage.py is used to run commands for your Django application. So you say python manage.py run server. You can have python manage.py make migrations, python manage.py migrate, python manage.py flush, many commands, right? The more you get into Django, the more you get to understand it. So from here you can say starting development server at http localhost port 80, right? So you say quit the server with control break, maybe control C. With control C you quit your server. Let's start it again. So here it said starting development server at http localhost port 80. So let's get to http localhost port 80. Let's open it up. I just clicked on control. I just pressed on control and opened it here. So I think I have another application running on port 80. I have another project running on port 80. This project here running on port 80 already. So let me use another port. So to open your application to specify a port to use for your Django application, to open a port to open in your local host, right? After run server, you enter the port, let's say 4040, right? So you open this port, your application is now running on localhost port 4040. We open it. This is your application, right? This is your application. You say the installation worked successfully, congrats. You are seeing this page because the bug is default to true, is in your settings of py. So your application is up and is running, right? So guys, this is it. Your application is running, it's up and is running. So you have to come to your url.py file, start editing, start changing, start creating views, start handling requests and sending response and what have you. So in the next I'll probably start next week. We will be starting alwaysdjango.com, YouTube alwaysdjango.com. We'll be starting a Django, in-depth Django tutorial playlist, right? We'll be creating a tutorial on Django, right? Starting from how to create application, which you have already treated, how to handle requests, how to edit your url.py file, how to create views, how to edit your settings.py file, how to create applications, to deploy your applications to the server, setting a URL, a domain name for your server, and everything. We are going in depth on everything about Django, so that after that playlist you'll be a complete Django developer, you can start up a project in Django, complete that project, host it in the server, and have your application on production, right? So that you start working for clients and getting money, which excites me, should excite you too. So like, subscribe, turn on the notification so that you stay up to date, you stay informed when we release the videos, when we release these playlist videos, so that you get to understand Django, so that you get to start using Django, so that you can beat your chest and say, yes, I'm a Django developer, right? So if you like how that sounds, like again, subscribe, share, turn on the notification to stay tuned. That's it for me, right, guys? I hope you learned something from today. Take care. Peace.
Yo, YBH.